The sun beams down oppressively on the midday desert as you hike through. The only evidence of life is the odd plant that's managed to sprout through the fine desert sand and your party's shadows cast upon the dunes. Food is scarce, water is scarcer, and the sun is so bright you can hardly see 10 feet in front of you. You and your party gasp for breath. Each footfall requires more effort than the last, and you find yourselves wondering about the validity of your choice to wear your armor on this particular trek. You also eventually begin to reevaluate every single piece of gear in your pack and ponder its utility versus its weight. You find yourself missing the pack animals you once traveled with, but you also find yourself glad that you don't have another mouth to care for. Supplies are already running low, and you expect at least another 2 full days in this desert heat. The sun continues to rise, and you take shade for lunch at the base of a bluff, resting for a few hours while the sun is highest in the sky. Eventually, you have to break camp, and now spirits and water are even lower, and you begin to begrudge the wizard for only preparing a single casting of Create Water. 7.5 liters seemed like enough at dawn, but after the first day in this heat, it will not be going forward, and you make a mental note to ensure that they prepare a second casting, at the very least, until you're out of the desert. In the waning heat of the later afternoon, you stop for a rest. The bard breaks out their tambourine in an attempt to keep the party morale up. The wizard begins to flip through their spellbook, contemplating further preparations before giving up and moving on to study the map. The ranger... Actually, you don't know what the ranger is doing. Ranging, you'd suppose. With a sigh, you drink deep the last of your flask, and the sounds of crunching sand stirs you to action. You jump to your feet, sword in hand, and the ranger crests the dune at full speed, bow in one hand, arrow in the other, and a look of fear stricken across their face. You can't make out anything behind them, but you stand ready, eyes shifting, sword and shield raised. The wizard fumbles to his feet, staff in hand, and the bard's expression grows firm as their rhythm on the tambourine becomes a steady, military marching beat. You feel the magical courage filling your body, and you take a few deep breaths to try and drink it deeper. The ranger quickly closes the gap, making eye contact with you, and you realize there is something wrong here, something you don't understand yet. So with a nod to herself, she dives at your feet, rolls onto her back, and looses an arrow into the sun. Moment of silence follows the ringing twang of the bow. The wind picks up again, and all you hear is the sound of shifting grains of sand. And then, out of the sun, forms a black dot and grows bigger and bigger with frightening speed until 2 taloned feet skim just past your head as they miss with their opening volley and land between you and your casters. You turn, and the ranger kips to their feet, a fresh arrow nocked. Standing there is what could be a human, but possessing the legs and tail of a lion, massive eagle-like wings, and 2 radiating scimitars in hand. One pointed towards you and the ranger, the other far too close to the wizard's throat. Silence falls again, and after a moment of prolonged eye contact with the creature, the tambourine starts. You feel courage well inside of you, and you dig your heels into the sand, ready for a fight. Roll for initiative. Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Pathfinder 2nd Edition and the lore that surrounds them.
Hello there, creatures. Every time I get started, I see a little smirk on James' face. My name is Freeman Piercer of Darkness, Eiston. Welcome to Encounter This, where James Den Kidd will be taking us through another creature called the Maftet? Maftet.
Yeah, close. We're going to go with Maftet.
Maftet. I'm here for it. If you want to follow along, open up your Bestiary 3 that we know you definitely own, and flip to page 166, or hit up the old link to Archives of Nethys. James, what the hell is a Maftet? I know. I kind of actually know. But tell me anyway. I only kind of know.
So, Moftets are chill little beings that are this. They are hawk-winged, lion leg, and tailed with humanoid midsection and face. And that's kind of the extent of it.
He looks chill. Yeah, he looks chill for sure.
They're these really unique chimeras.
Mm.
In a way that I don't know if we've seen before. Like, they're not quite a centaur. They're only kind of leonine from the legs down, and they're really only hawk based with their wings. Like, they're not not a sphinx. They're not a griffin. They're nothing like that.
The nose is giving me ever so slight feline vibes at what distance I'm kind of looking at it at. But yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it does definitely. I mean, for me, it's hard not to think about a humanoid with wings and not think either an angel or a deva of some kind. But when it's a little more bestial, I always think harpy.
Right.
But clearly not harpy. Clearly not some sort of grotesque monstrosity in this case. By comparison.
They're actually pretty unique creatures as far as I can tell. They live in ancient ruins and cities, typically amid arid climates like deserts and mountains. Mm-hmm. They live in groups and cultures which are called prides, and they are matriarchal societies.
Okay.
Not unlike my last creature, the Gertablilu, they're also an isolationist society, so they have these very specific sects in very specific places that have very specific beliefs.
Are we getting into a trend here with you and the summer and isolationism?
I accidentally so I picked the Maftet before we did Gertablilu, and I was going down the Maftet list, and Gertablilu is listed as a sometimes ally, and I thought it was the weirdest spelling of a word I'd ever seen in my life. So we ended up. I
remember that actually.
Yeah.
Cool.
But back to their culture, they respect their elders on par with their deities, which is, I don't think, something we've encountered before. And they're not hostile to respectful outsiders. Again, very similar sociological beliefs as the Gertablilu, as well as regional and geographical preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Within their culture, they believe themselves to be guardians, and they practice a special technique of dual scimitar fighting, as you can see in our image over there.
Mm-hmm.
And this style of fighting is so central to their culture that they very rarely make new swords. Almost all of them are heirlooms that have been passed down through the generations. And as early as a child, it is ingrained into them to have the ability to trace their lineage back several generations. So there's this real veneration of their elders and their previous generations ingrained in the society.
Cool. So very heirloom, kind of forward culture on the swords and everything. That's neat.
Yeah. And one of the other big components of the culture are their tattoos. As you might be able to tell from the size of this image, a lot of their shoulders and upper torso are inked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because when they come of age, Moftets get these magical runic tattoos from the elders of their society that let the Moftets enchant their weapons. So as long as they're wielding two scimitars, they become magical.
Very cool. So their tattoos pass it on to their weapons, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, cool.
Like in a way that we haven't encountered in Pathfinder at the very least. The designs of the tattoos are always very specific to each individual. They tell of the mother's ancestors because of the matriarchal society. They could also tell of adventures, admirable traits. It seems to be kind of adapted from the Maori culture a little bit, just based on the placement, the stylization, and the meaning. But I think it's a nice homage to that culture. I mean, the Mandalorians do it for the same reasons. The same.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a theme we find.
Yeah.
And like the Mandalorians and the Maori, the ink is considered sacred. These are sacred markings that you're being given, and they are never ever given to non-Maftets. They're only ever given to a Maftet.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. The sort of ink affecting the weapon. You're right. It's not something we've covered specifically, or we've come across specifically. Although I can say on a mechanical level, it's not uncommon for a creature to have like if they're holding this type of weapon, it gains the benefits of, I think the Kalikang was one of those, which this creature's already given me some vibes of as well. And the Gitablu did as well in a way, but you can kind of see all of those three of those creatures in the same sort of biome. And like, the scimitars and stuff the Kalikang had. And then, I know like in cases of like, say, devils, which we've encountered before on Stemming the Tide, where they if they're holding Hellforged weapons, it gets like an extra bonus. But if a non-devil is, not so much. So that sort of basic mechanic definitely exists across multiple creatures and stat blocks. But the specificity of that we have these magical tattoos, which do exist in the game, and they are the source of the runic power to a weapon. I think that's really neat. It's like a small thing, but I think I love it. I love those little details.
Yeah, and as PCs, we can see that sometimes in things like the doubling rings, where they take runes from one and apply it to your second weapon. So there are similar
cool
concepts. Item, yeah, I love the doubling rings. But I think this is the first time we've seen a bodily tattoo. We know there are magical tattoos, but a bodily tattoo imparting like a rune onto a weapon, which is neat. I would love to be corrected, and it'd be really cool if there was a way that a PC could get something akin to
Maybe
this.
there is one in there somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I looked at tattoos, and I'm pretty sure a good few have come out since the last time I did.
Yeah.
But I dig it. Like, it's one of those things where you often have to remind yourself that NPCs and PCs and creatures and PCs, they don't function the same. There's a lot of crossover similarities. You'll see creature stat blocks with the same skills as like, a ranger's hunted prey or something like that. And you'll obviously spell casting and all that, but you have to remember that they are not one-to-one. Even like grabbing and grappling rules technically have some differences. But this is one of those things where you're like, oh, I really wish that was a PC thing,
Yeah. As somebody who plays a
magus
in one of our
campaigns,
Yeah. As somebody who plays a magus in one of our campaigns, it would be a lot easier to just one action light my sword on fire instead of two action can't do it again.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a really neat lore. It's really tight and concise. Like, that's the entirety of the Maftet lore in 2nd edition. Mm-hmm. There is a sidebar called Shared Duties, which states that the Maftet have mutual respect for the Gertablilu, and they both honor and respect the locals and their history. Both cultures do, that is. And sometimes they even guard ruins together, where Gertablilus guard the ground and Maftets provide air support.
Oh, cool. And again, that guardian thing is very Kalikang-esque, even though, and the Kalikangs are also more individual in their isolation, but still isolationists and still guardians of secrets and tombs and ruins and that sort of thing. Very strong theme we've accidentally fallen into here over the last few months. But I love it. That's cool.
Yeah,
totally non-intentional.
Really to just kind of go down the list and see like all these new creatures. Like, I had never heard of a Maftet before, but I knew the name was vaguely Egyptian, so I knew I was going to enjoy it.
It's Egyptian, is it? That's what I was really wondering now. 'Cause it definitely, like the harpy, it was like, oh, it's kind of Greekish, Romanish vibes, that area of the world, but maybe a little not quite the same. So yeah, Egyptian, I guess, makes sense.
Yeah, and we'll get into a little bit of Egyptian history, but before that, we're going to talk about 1st edition. So this is the Maftet from 1E. They're no longer scimitars. They're these long, curved tipped swords that actually look like they're supposed to be dual-handed. They're reminiscent of a katana, but absolutely not a katana.
But definitely not, yeah. I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
artwork is, of course, like we expect from some old stuff, entirely too sexy,
and way
it
too
makes
dark.
it just kind of odd. It is way too dark, but it's very Sphinx-esque in this case. I'm getting that Sphinx vibe big time compared to the other one.
Yeah, this one much more so than the 2E1. The 2E1, they've really leaned into more of a humanoid aspect, and I believe that's because they're going to be a playable ancestry at some point. But the 1E1 is not, and they definitely did not lean into that at all. It's definitely more feline, specifically from the legs,
very
like
much,
even to the mid torso. It's even a little bit.
Yeah, you're getting like the tattoos that are clear there. They're evoking much more of like a feline pattern.
Yeah.
And it's the come hither look that I don't like on this artwork.
Yeah,
it's too dark, and it's like that. Like what's that facial expression? It doesn't look like you're about to fight me or you're guarding something. It's a wrong choice.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's still a really beautiful piece of art. Just the facial expression could be a little more stoic, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like they just took a European model, like dressed her up, and was like, okay, now hold these swords.
That might honestly be how it's done. I have friends who are artists who draw from life, but like I do, I take my voices from real people and real actors and real roles and do bad impression of them. They do bad drawings of them, and they get a totally unique face.
You do your best pastiches, facsimiles.
Yeah, exactly. So we get a little more data from 1E. This specifies that they're accomplished hunters, which I'm sure we could have all assumed by the aerial dual-wielding tiger hawk that it is.
It would probably take a lot of skill to not cut your own wings off.
Yeah, or your own tail. Like there's a lot of extremities in the way there.
Yeah.
And we get size requirements from them, which is great. So they are 2.13 meters or 7 feet tall and 122 kilos or 270 pounds, which is about 1 Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay,
so
Shaquille O'Neal
I looked at a bunch of
katanas.
different people to try and get an accurate size range. So Shaq is 2.6 meters tall and 147 keys. So he's a little bit heavier. And a little bit taller, and it's really difficult to find people who are 122 kilos or 270 pounds at that height range because that's just not how weight works.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. It's like even I looked at the mountain from Game of Thrones. I looked at Richard Keel. I looked at the brother from Everybody Loves Raymond. Really, really tall people.
Brad Garrett.
But
yeah,
Brad Garrett, but way heavier. I figured you'd be the only person who's ever going to watch this who would know Brad Garrett by name.
I don't know why I know his name. I've never watched him. Everyone loves Raymond. For some reason, I know Brad Garrett's name. It's the weirdest thing. Now I got to Google it, make sure it actually is.
I'm pretty sure you nailed it. We also get some coloration details from 1E. So their colors range from golden to like a rusty brown, which you can actually see entirely on this image. And some have white spots or even white fur. And if they have this white fur or a spotted pelt, they can actually be more venerated in their society and be raised to elder earlier. They're treated as special for having these different colorations. And if you have those markings, you can become more prominent.
Okay. Did the lore specify it's like Leonin, or is that your own addition for the description?
The lore, I believe the lore specifies Leonin.
Okay. Because I like the idea of them being, kind of going into like leopard territory, snow leopard, white fur, big cats across that sort of inspired expanse of the world, the IRL world.
Yeah, and it actually gets a little bit more interesting because the being that the Maftet are based on isn't leonine. It is feline, but it's not from a lion. But Pathfinder 2e specifically states that they're lionized lower bodies. That's as good of a segue as we're ever going to get. So let's just jump into mythology and folklore.
Okay.
And like I alluded to earlier, they are Egyptian. So they come from Maftet, aka Maftet or Maftet, who is an Egyptian deity. That's Shaq again. There she is.
Okay.
So every now and again, they're depicted as a mongoose, but we're not going to touch that. We're just going to lean into the feline stuff. And it's either the head or the body. It's never both or a combination of the two that are feline. In this particular image, it's the head, as our YouTube listeners can see. And most often, because it's Egyptian, they're depicted as either a cheetah or a serval. So a serval is like a small-ish savanna cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, really very different. I don't understand why Pathfinder specifically went with lions, but it may be to distance themselves from Maftet as Egyptian society itself did.
They could have gone ocelot and made it more interesting.
Well, ocelot's North America.
Oh, is it really?
Yes. Yeah. Serval's the African
I didn't know that.
ocelot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Fuck, I hope that's right. I'm pretty confident that's right. Hit us up in the comments if that's wrong. I'm ready for it.
My Google up again real quick.
So Maftet is the goddess who protects against snake bites and scorpion stings. We didn't touch on them in the Gertabli specifically because we were going to be talking about her here. And they were very, very prominent in the first dynasty. Because that's the entirety of the information I was able to find on Maftet, we're going to talk a little bit about the First Dynasty and the New Kingdom, just to give our listeners some context for this. And because I think this stuff is interesting as shit. So
yeah,
you're stuck with me. All right. So the First Dynasty was the first series of kings to rule a unified Egypt. It begins after the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt, also known as the Two Lands, and the first king was called Narmer, but could also be Menez or Hora. The power center at this time was Thinis, which is on the River Nile, as all of them are. And the actual dates of this first dynasty are, I want to say currently in debate, but they've literally always been in debate, and they will probably always be in debate.
Yeah, sure.
But it's believed to have started in the early Bronze Age, the 34th to the 30th century BCE. Specifically with Hora, the second king of the first dynasty and the only one to have been carbon dated with a 95% confidence to somewhere between 3218 and 3035 BCE. We have a link to this particular article that appears in the Library of National Medicine. There is a whole bunch of links and articles riddled throughout this as always, so please hit us up on the website at encounterthis.ca if you want to dig a little bit deeper. The first time Maftet appears, as far as we can tell, is on a stone vessel fragments from the tomb of Den, who is believed to be the sixth pharaoh of the first dynasty.
Okay.
So Den was the son of Jet and Marineth. Marineth was believed to have been the first female pharaoh or queen regent around 2950 BCE, according to Emily Teeter. Again, links to that above. But I thought that was really interesting because we normally credit with either with Hatshepsut with being the first female pharaoh, but this was several dynasties earlier.
Okay, right.
So like thousands of years earlier. And at this point in the first dynasty, Maftet was the deity of legal justice or capital punishment. It's hard to tell which.
Okay.
Apparently in this culture, they were not that different.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Column A, little column B. Yeah.
So that's how the pyramids got built.
Was it ever a mystery?
Yeah. And because of this, she's associated with the king's chambers and other sacred sites. And because of that association with the king's chambers, it's believed that she protected against venomous animals. Later on in the first dynasty, some texts mention her as protecting Ra from snakes. Ra is the creator of all life. And she would eventually go on to be the sole protector of Ra during the daily voyage. So the Ra's daily voyage is the voyage of the sun across the sky, the same as Helios. There's kind of one of these in every culture. But she would hunt by night. So in order to protect Ra at day, she would go out and stalk predators at night, earning her the nickname the Piercer of Darkness, because her duty was to ensure the coming of dawn. Which is just so metal, and I love it. I love that this early a woman was in charge of making sure shit got done.
Yeah. The real question, James, is what earned me the nickname Piercer of Darkness? Is it my sunny disposition?
Yes. I told you, I always give you the cool ones. I try to always give you the cool ones.
And I love giving myself the brutal ones, unless I have a really apt one for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I thought that was the coolest epithet in this episode, so I figured you deserve it. It's pretty good. And
Gee,
because
thanks.
I prefer the dark, I'm never going to try and pierce that veil. So Maftet appears in all these royal tombs, not only as the protector of the dawn and the god of all gods in first Egyptian dynasty. This led to her having a tangential connection to Anubis. So Anubis was known as a messenger or attendant, and Maftet became the hunter or executioner. And you can see it here as this is the official staff of the office of the executioner in Egypt. And that is Maftet in her feline form running up the side of it.
Okay. That's looks like something you use when you really, really want to pull someone off the stage and like make sure they never go back on.
There's
right
there's a name for them. Like I can't remember what they're called, but they're like these little staffs that the pharaoh, like you normally see them crossed on a pharaoh. They're essentially staffs of office is what they are. There is a technical term for them that's escaping me right now, but this one is specifically is for the pharaoh's executioner, which is so cool. And we haven't found an intact one, but we have found this depiction of one.
Right. A quick Google search just tells me it's like a was scepter. Was scepter? I don't know how accurate that is.
Yeah, that's not the name
that was too quick
that I'm thinking of, but it might be. I want to say it's related to a cartouche, but I don't remember. I know that a cartouche is the framing of a pharaoh's name in hieroglyphs, but I think those are somehow. I mean, this is all speculation. Let's get back to facts.
I think it's a crook.
Crook.
Oh, okay, crook was the first thing that actually came to my head, but I thought, nah, I'm just thinking of the crook of my elbow, or the crook is the particular part of the staff. But I guess it's it might just be maybe that's where the crook comes from. Is that
probably?
Thing,
yeah.
Welcome to Canada's, where we speculate with no information.
Facts. Who needs them?
Yeah.
Get there eventually.
Quick reminder to PJP, we are not historians. Don't add us.
I mean, go right ahead. I love the corrections.
No,
they're great.
Add us, we love it.
Yeah, we do this show so we can learn. Like this is us educating ourselves and then presenting it to you. So, we're all doing this for the first time.
Our original philosophy was to educate you, but I think we learned pretty quickly it's not so much that.
Episode 1.5, I think. Halfway through our second and or third recording of Harpy, we figured out.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So Maftet then kind of disappears from culture for a little while, and I say disappears, but I'm using that loosely and hyperbolically. But she comes back with kind of a vengeance in the New Kingdom, which is about the 16th to 11th century BCE, and this is between the 18th and 20th dynasties. And this is suspected to be the most prosperous time in ancient Egypt, specifically the 19th to the 20th dynasty, known as the Ramesside period. This is where Ramses II, Ozymandias. This is their time. The capitals here being Thebes and Memphis mostly. So in something called a duat is where Maftet is depicted in this culture. So duat is a part of the underworld, and I have a very hard time understanding this concept in its entirety. So the underworld in Egyptian culture isn't equivalent to hell. It just kind of is. It's not heaven. It's just, so I believe the Duat is where souls go to be judged before they're allowed into the underworld.
Right.
Because in Egyptian belief, instead of damnation, souls were punished by not having intelligent access to the afterlife at all. They were just denied their next life. And that was one of the largest punishments an evil soul could get. And here, at this time, enemies of the pharaoh were depicted with a weapon called Maftet's Claw. I could not find any actual physical references to this weapon, but it is definitely referenced in the story of this Duat.
Okay. Maftet's Claw. And I guess, And I guess you see that, you can kind of see that translate in a way to the creatures and their kind of feline thing, and maybe they refer to their the scimitars as their claws or something like that. If we wanted to like make some lore up for them.
Yeah, I really just included this because somehow after 10 centuries, she comes back into vogue as an executioner again.
Right.
Like it's a really interesting line that she's run, going from a protector to a hunter to an executioner, like protector against venomous bites, protector, piercer of the dawn, and now she's an executioner. And just this wild journey she's been on.
Yeah, the you can see like you might imagine that it involves like maybe the retelling of like almost lost tales. They become popular again, and then they evolve as a result because they're not written in stone, as it were. And there's an evolution to the character that's based on the evolution of the society that's like holding the story up,
Yeah, and I guess to put it into perspective, the distance in time in this culture is just like you really need to. I mean, I think one really needs to consider how far away these two things are.
Right.
Like this is 1,500 years after. Like, imagine a deity from the 500s came back and was cool again. Like we're finding retro shit from 20 years ago that nobody's ever heard of. This is a deity who is dead and buried who came back with a new purpose.
Yeah. Wild. So wild.
Yeah. I mean, we do still have deities from that long ago. Obviously, we have deities from, I don't know, 2,024 years ago. So,
yeah. Maftet was, so what you're saying is Maftet was cool back when capital punishment was as well.
I don't think it was called capital punishment so much as retribution. But yes, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
more or less.
Yeah. That's about.
That does not express the opinion of Encounter This. Just a general statement.
I think we're comfortable taking a hard line against capital punishment.
Value.
The controversial take against. So I looked for some pop culture stuff, and half human, half lion, half bird didn't really come up too often.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. However, I did find this. This is Maftet. This is a character from Thundercats. Okay. I am not a Thundercats guy, so I don't have a whole lot of information.
Okay.
I do know they're the Lynx god of something called Third Earth. They are very wealthy and powerful. As you can see, they're Scrooge McDucking in a.
I kind of guessed it was gold, but it also looks like pills.
Yeah, well,
looks like a bunch.
This is from the 80s.
Yeah. He doesn't look sober either.
No. And Maftet lives in a treasure chamber below Mumra's Black Pyramid. I don't know what of role they played in Thundercats, but I can't imagine it was big. So
you gotta love some of that old writing for those old shows, those old cartoons. You know, the writers were clearly just like they just picked up a random history book and we're digging it. We're like, yeah, I'm gonna throw that in. Yep. I'm gonna throw some ridiculous reference to this, and no one will care. No one will care, but they'll eat it up. It's so weird.
Well, a lot of those guys only had hours. You know, if you listen to Larry Hama talk about, you know, the first 10 episodes of G.I. Joe or whatever, he had hours to get that stuff ready.
To like write it?
To write it, yeah. Well, not only to write the story of the first couple episodes of G.I. Joe, not the movies, the first couple of actual episodes of the TV show and the comic book. He only had, I think, a weekend to get together 6 backstories of G.I. Joes and Cobras and write the first couple episodes and first couple of comic books. Like, it was
crazy.
Their turnaround time was insane back in the day because they didn't care about the content or the substance of the cartoon. What they cared about was selling toys without you realizing they're selling toys. That was the whole point behind, you know, most of Hasbro's stuff at that time. Just stuff they bought from Japan or England and brought over and turned into a cartoon show to sell to kids because you couldn't advertise to children in the 80s. You could like, you could not have a commercial for toys. You could sell it to them in a TV show, but
yeah, so crazy. Different time.
I can talk about G.I. Joe all day.
Yeah, I know you can.
Yeah,
I know you can.
All right, let's pull the chute on that and get into the mechanics.
Okay.
All right, Maftet. They're pretty straightforward. I like them. That's a Pathfinder 2e creature. You're not going to find anything particularly special until we get into the abilities, as has become the standard at this point.
Yep.
So they are 6th level, AC 23, HP 92, medium and humanoid, as one would expect from this. Recall knowledge, have the humanoid trait, so that's a DC 22 society. They've got a 14 perception, a 30-foot land speed, and a 40-foot fly speed.
Okay.
They speak Common and Sphinx, and they have dark vision.
Sphinx. Okay.
Yeah, haven't encountered that one since back in the 5e days, so
yeah,
I actually really like that as a language choice because they don't need their own unique language. And in 1e, I believe they were way more intertwined with Sphinxes than they are in 2e.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess we shall see. Strength 5, Dex 3, Con 4, Int 3, Wisdom 2, Charisma 0. 13 to their acrobatics, 13 Arcana, 15 Athletics, 13 Stealth, and Lore Runes that only applies to where they live, 15.
Okay.
So lore local, I guess.
Yeah. Which might be a good opportunity even to remind people that it's sometimes it's easily glossed over, but like the common language also, you know, has what's the word I'm looking for? Not infers. It's implied that it means the local common language, not as if there is one common language across the whole world.
Yeah, normally when we say common in Pathfinder, we're specifically talking about Taldane. Because a lot of
in the
what we
Inner
do
Sea region and that's
is in Avestan, the Inner Sea region, and I believe Taldane is the common language for the entirety of Avestan. But as soon as we get into places like Garund, which is the southern continent, bumped up against Avestan, south of the Eye of Abendago, we get into some pretty specific locales. So Garund is a common language and common, but I would imagine in this specific case we're talking about Assyriani.
Yeah, I would guess the same thing. Yeah, it makes sense to me.
You could make the case for Kadiran and Kadira, or just because it's that kind of region as well, but I believe these creatures are intended to be from Osiri.
Yeah.
Osirian.
Osirian,
I don't know. I don't know where that went, but it went somewhere.
No, I'm with you because it's one of those weird ones where it feels like Osirian is like the demonym, which it is, of like people from Osirian, it sounds like it should be Osiria for us, you know, and then the language is Osirian. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like and I always stumble over that too. It's like what's the name of the country again? I think Pathfinder does that a couple times. It's a little bit annoying.
Ooh, shots fired, Mona.
It's a little bit annoying for my Canadian English speaking habits.
Right.
But it's still got nothing on some of the fantasy names they throw in the APs.
Oh, I don't know how you do it. I would just give up.
Shout out Kevin.
Yeah, shout out to Kevin. Empirical evidence that I do just give up.
Yeah, yeah, for real. That name was impossible to pronounce, so that's their bad.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's cool if you're into it. I don't need it every name every time. There can be a couple of Jeffs, you know.
Yeah.
Just spell it with a PH or something. Anyway,
yeah. Continue with the stat block.
Yeah, Fortitude 14, Reflex 15, Will 12. And as you would imagine, they're carrying a couple of items with 2 scimitars. And you may note they are non-magical.
Mm-hmm.
Just regular old scimitars.
Regular old, yeah.
So they have a couple of melee, which we'll just get into here. The first is a single action scimitar, 17-12-7 to hit. It has the forceful, magical, and sweep traits, all absolutely excellent. And I hear you asking in the audience, where did they get that magical trait from? Well, it's from their tattoos.
It's from the tattoos.
Yeah. They have a 2-action attack called Paired Strike. They must be wielding 2 scimitars. They make 2 strikes against the same target, and they combine damages for the purposes of overcoming weaknesses and resistance. And it counts as 1 attack for the MAP. So this is like a better flurry of blows.
Yeah, it can be pretty brutal. We had a we'll cover it. I'll cover it later. We had some questions about this at one point.
It's fucking awful.
Yeah,
as a player,
it's like a flurry of blows / dual slice kind of thing happening, and it's brutal. It's pretty tough.
Yeah. And the next one just kind of compounds on how challenging the Paired Strike is. It is a 3-action ability called Raptor Dive. So the Maftet must be flying at least 10 feet in the air, and then they fly twice their speed, which is 80 feet, and make a paired strike at the end of the movement. That is 4 actions, but most importantly, if both strikes hit, not even critical hit, if both strikes just regular hit, the target is prone. That is a big old 3-action fuck you. And we felt it.
Yep. Yeah, it's good that it's 3 actions. We'll get into that again a bit later, but it's good that it's 3 and not 2. It has to be. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, they're doing 5 actions. You know, it's 2 fly, 1 paired strike, which is a 2-action, and like a push to knock them prone. Like it's wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They have 1 reaction called Runic Resistance. So this has the arcane and abjuration traits. And the trigger is they take damage from a strike or spell effect. So this immediately gives them +5 DR to 1 damage type from the triggering attacks that last for 1 minute or until the Maftet reuses the ability. If used multiple types of damage, you choose one to resist. So I was hitting with cold and piercing. They chose the piercing because that was doing more damage to resist.
Yeah.
So this was also... this felt overpowered to me, but again, we'll get into that in a second.
It can be brutal, yeah.
Yeah. And then they have the passive, which is called Powerful Scimitars. This is arcane evocation traits, and any non-magical scimitars become +1 striking scimitars while the Maftet is holding it, and that's your tattoos turning these scimitars up to 11.
Yeah.
And to add insult to injury, they have a little bit of spell casting. It's not much, but it's not great. It is arcane innate, and they have a 23 spell attack modifier. The first spell is 3rd level Sigil, which I guarantee you will almost never use unless an enemy retreats.
Yeah.
And then 1st rank spells, they have Sanctuary, which they can cast 3 times a day. And they have True Strike, which they can cast 1 time a day. True Strike is obviously not what that's called anymore.
It is now called...
Sure Strike.
Sure Strike, thank you. I was trying to remember it.
Yeah, so this gives you advantage at the end of the day. It's a fortune effect. You roll 2 dice, you take the better results. Which, for a creature that's got a 2-action prepared strike, True Strike becomes very, very challenging because this is a 1-action spell.
Yeah, the thing is that it's kind of you get sometimes it gets really muddy on action economy and rules and stuff. So it's the next time you make an attack roll before the end of your turn. So it's not the next time you make use an ability that causes damage. It's so specific in its wording. So even if you cast this first and do paired strike, it's only applying to one of the 2 rolls you will roll for paired strike.
The very first important roll specifically.
Not the very first one. Do not apply it to both. Do not assume you can apply it to the second one if the first one misses. It's like it is the first one. Be fair. It's like that kind of shit.
Yeah, really, you're already getting a second strike without your multiple attack penalty.
Yeah. Don't get greedy, GMs.
Yeah. But that's it for the Maftet's mechanics. They're relatively straightforward. They fly and they hit hard. As we've alluded to already in this episode, we did another ET test kitchen with Cam. Big shout out to Cam, the Raptor Dive Terry, for putting this on for us. I figured I should probably name them after the most horrendous ability these creatures had.
Oh, for real.
We have a couple of notes here. Let's start out with the general notes from Cam. Paired slice and 40-foot move speed is nothing to be trifled with.
I remember before we even tested this creature, Cam was like, "This creature's insane."
Yeah.
just looking at the stat block, they were like, "This is too much." Like level 6 is too much. They can fly. It's crazy.
Yeah. Their next note is technically there's 0 reason why you shouldn't dive for the back line with the Raptor and just geek the casters right away.
For real though.
Yeah. I mean, this is how they would act. They're smart, they're arcane beings, and they take to the skies.
And they have the ability to just come straight at the what is obviously the weaker defense of the party from the sky. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And Cam recommends striking against these and flying away, because that will be devastating against casters, because very few of them have
you want to be real mean,
strike.
Yeah. They're specifically designed for guerrilla tactics.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And Cam's last note here is if the party has a lot of the same type of damage, they will suffer from runic resistance, which we absolutely did.
We really did. Yeah.
So I went into this in a way that I thought was going to be cool and unique and keep it fresh for me. When we did this, I had not read the Maftet stat block. I had read the paragraphs, and I'd done all the cultural lore and all that stuff, but I hadn't done the mechanics. Normally I do the mechanics first and work my way backwards. So this time I decided not to do the mechanics, so I would be surprised by the creature in combat. And I have some concerns with this creature. I hated being surprised by this creature. This sucked to fight.
So good.
They were awful. And it's a lot, a lot of reasons why. But
there was a hard lesson learned in this one.
Yeah.
So we just started doing this. Obviously, it's really fun. Still, shout out to the listeners who made a couple characters for us to play with. So James made his own cleric, and Cam had made me a fighter that I adjusted a little bit since the Scythe Tree attempt. and we kept the 2 that we had for the scythe tree as well. One of them, we didn't really get into detail what the builds were, but we got memed a little bit because we weren't very clear about what we wanted and why, more particularly why we wanted it. We didn't tell anyone we were doing these test fights for ET, but so we got ourselves a druid with a monk archetype and a ranged throwing barbarian, which was not the most ideal.
So the throwing barbarian actually came up clutch in this. It's just my rolls were so impossibly bad. I've never had a run of bad rolls like that.
Amazing. Like, you were almost all but useless in the scythe tree fight.
Yeah.
And for most of this one, you did nothing.
Nothing. The barbarian hit once and it killed the last Maftet, and that was it. And it was a natural 20 on the third attack.
I actually kind of dug the druid monk. The defenses weren't there, but I loved like having the sort of playing it was like, okay, I can cast, or I can actually get in there and, like, you know, attack and I was really thinking hard about like different damage types for both combats. The downside of this one was that the druid monk got insta-gibbed right away. Like, immediately, start of combat, flown in, paired strike, third attack strike, I think. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but within the first round and a half, like, not just down, dead. Like, like, actually, no, sorry, that's not strictly true, but was down, for sure down. And one of the hard lessons learned on this one was for you, James. It's that because we were piecemealing this, we're both very, very busy, and we were doing this play-by-post, and James wasn't quite paying the most attention as to what was happening in the previous turns.
Nope.
And so left me to die. Fired a bow instead of casting a heal kind of situation.
Yeah, I had honestly thought
results.
You were already dead, and that's why I went with it. I think it was dying 3, and I was just like, oh well.
So we had a good laugh about it. We still won fighting these things, but the things that it really stood, it was like the scythe tree. It was a very swingy fight. There was a lot of crits, like a lot of crits. I was critting with the fighter like a crazy.
Yeah. But
that runic resistance bit us in the ass because we're both doing piercing damage. We lost the druid right away, so lacked a whole bunch of different damage type variants. And the cleric was playing basically full support at that point. And but even then, when you did attack, it was the bow. It was piercing again. So we had 3 piercing as our main focus, basically. And so this thing constantly had a 5 of resistance up at all times. And it didn't even really need to reuse its reaction. It's crazy. So that was a lack of variety of damage type. Was a killer for 2 of these in a row, actually.
Yeah,
because the scythe tree gave us some trouble with that as well, but for a different reason. So that was really tough. And Cam went easy on us in a way. Didn't really get raptor dives in that much. And if you really look at raptor dive, like because of those 3 actions, like you have to be up in the air already, to be 10 feet up in the air. And then when you're spending all 3 getting down there and doing some vicious shit. It's really devastating. But now you're stuck there for a round. You are there available to be attacked. And that's the sort of the downside. So it's a give and a take.
They griefed the cleric pretty hard with one of those.
Oh, absolutely brutal. So ultimately, both my characters died. And I put a lot of damage in on the fighter, but still just couldn't. We couldn't pull through it after, and it was I think one of those. It was a cool. I had a laugh because it's a really good lesson in a practice lesson of like why you can't play this game like you play 5e, you know. And like as much as I throw shade on 5e these days, it's just sort of like this, you know. It's not about whether or not 5e is bad. It's like there is a different thing in your brain as an individual player for these games, or there has to be a different thing in your brain. You have to coordinate, you have to think about what's happened already and what might happen going forward and make your decisions based on that. You can't stand and bang, and you can't pretend like nothing happened before your turn, or you die.
Yeah, you really have to review the turns and go back in and get it done.
Yeah.
And having the right party makeup is going to be quintessential, I think, to get past a creature like this, because this is when Cam looks at a creature and they think this is going to be a hard fight, it's going to be an awful fight. Their bar for difficulty is so much higher because they understand the game, the minutia of the game way better than I have any ambition to. So knowing that they thought this was going to be hard, I didn't give up before I started, but it was tough when my, two of my clerics' 3 actions every round were casting 2 action heals.
Right. I mean, yeah, that would have been the only way for us to survive as a party, is if that was the case, I think.
Well, that's what I was doing.
Many trading of crits.
Every turn was 2 action heals and a bless, or 2 action heals and that one time I did a bow. Like,
absolutely bonkers. Yeah, it was just a crazy swingy fight. And it's one of those things that it's like, I think Fly doesn't come into. I think the earliest it comes into for PC use is level 8. And
sounds right.
Even then, it's not everyone that has early access to that. Sometimes it's depending on what you have built. It could be later. So to have this at 6, we're doing a party of 5, level 5 against 2 of these level 6 creatures, which should be a pretty difficult encounter. But that Fly alone makes a huge difference. And if Cam had been even more vicious, which they are apt to do, we would have been TPK'd for sure.
Almost out of the gate, I think. Like first 3 turns, crazy. I think they could have taken us down. Yeah.
The thing we had a lot of confusion with at one point was, in fact, the paired strike thing, where it counts as 1 attack per map. You're swinging twice, but the thing was that like 1 was critting and 1 was not, or both were critting, and we were wondering, how does that apply to increasing the dying condition? And so if you go down to crit with this, but only one of them crit, does that take you to dying too? If they both crit, and you're still up, does that take you straight down to dying 4? And if you're already down and get hit by, if the first one takes you down and the second one doesn't, it was all these order of operations that we were kind of debating and trying to sort through. And we did come to not a solution, but like a resolution, an understanding of what the system is. And it is that because the damage is I even went to Reddit at one point for this. Because the damage is combined for the purposes of resistance to weaknesses, it means that it absolutely counts as 1 piece of damage, regardless of how many strikes you've rolled for. Right. So if 1 crits, you still get the crit damage and add it to a regular damage, but it still only counts as 1 crit through. If both crit, it still only counts as 1 crit through, because it is 1 damage kind of idea.
And I think an easy way for us, at least in our games, to streamline and simplify that is if it counts as 1 attack for the MAP, I think it only counts as 1 attack for crits going down. And I think that should just be our standard.
Good rule to go with. Yeah, just to keep it the baseline, for sure. Absolutely.
It'll get you away from some of those debates, for sure.
Yeah. So
I
was convinced I was dead immediately. Turns out I wasn't.
And that's why I shot the bow.
Anyway.
And then we discovered you weren't dead. So get off my dick about it.
Oh, that's right. That is fair. There was a lot of chatter going in that chat.
Yeah, this was we're still sorting this out. We'll I mean, we're gonna we get better at this show, but it's been 127 episodes, and it's really no different than the first one. We're even covering the same fucking creature without a scream.
So good.
This creature don't like the runic resistance being stagnant. That really bugs me. The fact that if you want to do a reaction to give you, that's what I mean. Like that's too long, in my opinion, to give you 5 damage against. And if this was a reaction to give you 5 DR once a day, okay, sure, whatever. This is whenever the fuck you have a reaction and you want to use it, you can just I'm against this one now.
Yeah. So. It assumes, I think the design of the ability assumes that you're going to have multiple damage types being thrown at it regularly, and then if there is one pairing of the same damage type, it's obvious for the GM to choose that and mostly stick with it. And so, but also because it's a reaction, it's a last minute, but it's also a reaction to reset, which I think is kind of cool. So if we had a larger variety of damage types happening, but say only 2 characters are throwing piercing at it, it's going to quickly choose piercing. But it also, on the next round, if it gets hit by like a big fire attack, it can quickly just go, okay, I'm going to stop the piercing and switch to the fire. And
Right.
I think it's cool. I think it's a cool idea. I'm inclined to agree that the 1 minute feels too long, but it only feels too long because we were only doing piercing. And that's like,
so I hear you, but I fundamentally disagree, and hear me out. I'm going to form my response to you in the form of a question. These are flying creatures.
Yes.
Give me a slashing ranged weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a bludgeoning ranged weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Blunted arrows don't exist in 2e yet. You can get slashing ranged weapons with thrown hatchets and bludgeoning with thrown hammers, but that's not effective against a flying creature.
Yeah, thrown weapons have shit range, so
it has to be a piercing weapon with either a thrown trident or an arrow. So if these creatures have flying and the ability to give themselves +5 DR, piercing is always going to be the answer, because that's the answer to that problem.
That is from a purely martial perspective, though. There is the assumption that you are also either also doing energy damage on top of your martial damage, which you were, but also there is the assumption there that the casters, you have at least one caster, if not 2, that have a variety of damage types that are non-martial, that are energy focused. So I hear what you're saying, that it's a bit of a problem, because like. The ranged attacks on the martial side don't have the variety of damage types, with the purposes of realism in mind, basically, is why. Blunted arrows weren't even in 5e. They were introduced as a homebrew and non-lethal, It's like,
but they were in 1e. Which
were they? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would have. The reason Arthur very rarely shot his bow is because he couldn't do non-lethal damage with it.
Well, you can. You just take a penalty to your attack roll.
I don't think you can with ranged strength-based weapons. Because you couldn't in 1e. You could not do non-lethal attacks with a bow. Just
throws that all out the window and says, if you want to do non-lethal, take a -2.
Oh, okay.
And if you want to do lethal, with a non-lethal weapon, take a -2.
Yeah,
it kind of works both ways.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Okay. On the range side of things, I'm not sure, because I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 so much on the live stream lately. Like I have 5e rule brain in my head right now, because like you cannot do non-lethal with a ranged attack at all in that game, which is really annoying, and it bit me in the ass once. But
oh no!
But yeah, it's it wasn't a big deal, but it's like I didn't realize it's only melee weapons or unarmed attacks. Fuck, Why can't I fantasy pin that guy to the wall with his shirt? Leave me alone,
Right, exactly.
Like come on.
Like let me aim or what have it, something like that. But it just at 5th level, it feels a little unfair to the martial classes. And that's why I would rather this be a once per day ability, as opposed to just being able to oscillate between turns. Okay, the casters are doing fire. It's going to be fire this turn. Okay, next round it's going to be piercing.
Right. Well, I think it'd be an interesting idea would be, so again, like because the druid went down so quick in our experience, like the druid had the highest potential to create like, a wider variety of not only damage types, but actually had some stuff I didn't get to do anything. I didn't cast a single spell.
It's very difficult to understate how fast that druid went down.
Went down so quick. It absolutely could have changed the combat if that druid was able to get some actions in. But the thing is too is that would have made all the difference for sure. We could but maybe think about like. Because that 1 minute is really the hanging thing, the cloud over the head, right? The fact that it lasts that long, and then you can switch it up whenever you want, like once per round kind of thing. That in those working in tandem makes it feel really, really powerful, and we have evidence that it can be very powerful. I think it would be really interesting if you actually transferred the runic power of the tattoos of this creature from the weapons to your defenses. So you sacrifice one for the other. and back again. And I think, yeah. So what if even if you did something like give it DR like 10, which is a lot for this creature, or you can go like maybe DR 7 or something like that, something a little more appropriate, but you lose the +1 striking, or maybe you just lose the striking or something like that. And so you've gone defense mode and, as you want, but like you now have to spend some, maybe you could reaction transfer to your defense, but now you have to spend on action getting it back to your weapons so you can get it and strike hard again. Otherwise, you're stuck. Yeah. So you create an action cost for yourself. Yeah. I think that would be a very sensible solution. That's kind of off the top of my head, so maybe it's not that sensible. But
I mean, without considering it deeply at all, I like that. I like that it's one action to change. We've seen that the precedent for that before in 2e with the Hadronex. One action to shift the damage type.
Right. Yeah.
So there is a precedent for that kind of ability and that kind of mechanic, and I vaguely remember it only being one action, and one action honestly feels like enough. So I would probably do it one action to transfer the power from the tattoos to the scimitar, and then maybe a reaction to transfer it back.
Okay.
Or
to me, the reaction makes sense like for a defensive mechanism, right? Like I've been hit, I react,
Ratio,
but now I need to deliberately choose to strike again, so that's where my action cost comes in.
Yeah, it's like shifting honestly, your grip.
Yeah, exactly. It came to my head because I remember when we were fighting this creature that at one point, I can't remember if it was from a recall knowledge roll or if I just had this gut feeling. I was like, I need this thing to not have one of its weapons in its hands. So I tried to disarm one of them. I gave it a college try.
Brutal.
But they updated it to make it better. It's still not great, but they did update it because now when you succeed, it still doesn't drop its weapon, but it takes a penalty to its attacks, and it has to spend an action to kind of re-grip it properly. So it either takes a penalty, which could be very helpful, or it takes an action tax, which could be very helpful.
Yeah, that's way better. Original disarm was you really just need to hit the creature twice with a natural 20, and then maybe after 2 consecutive crits it'll drop its weapon.
If you want the full effect of a disarm in this game, you still have to crit succeed basically. But they made the cost on the creature or the target on a success be a little bit more useful. So like they can choose not to change their grip and take that action tax, but they are now more vulnerable to a crit the next attempt, kind of thing. So it's a give and take for sure.
A great change.
It is a very positive change, I think. And I was kind of hoping it would come in to be helpful for me, but it wasn't in the end. I gave it a try. I did succeed and costed an action, which I think did delay the inevitable at some point, but. Something worth considering for sure about this creature is that the paired strike says you must be wielding 2 scimitars. So should you actually manage to be disarmed of one of them, you don't get paired strike anymore. And you don't get raptor dive anymore because that involves paired strike. So you're going to have to pick that thing up, and that'll be a manipulate action, and you might take some reactor strikes.
Dump all of your skills into athletics. Every class, every chance you get.
Everyone should have athletics. It is known. It is now
athletics
known.
Is the acrobatics of 1E.
It really is. It's so good. If you have
There's always one stat
strength,
that's just so overpowering.
Just get some athletics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely gnarly. And you know what? That's also actually a really good piece of information to give your players to on a very good recall knowledge. Is to like, don't say disarm's the only way out, because everyone's gonna get mad if it fails, because it probably will. But like that little bit of detail of like it cannot do these things unless it has both weapons in its hands. Let them figure it out from there. But like that's a good little detail to offer.
That's flavor. That's also mechanical. Like it's just perfect recall knowledge fodder. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they are so honed in on their fighting style. They have this fighting style. You pick that up, through fighting them or something like that, or you've read about it. This is what they do. They need their 2 weapons to be at their most effective. What can you do about that?
Yeah.
Heck, even heat metal would go a little distance.
Peace bond.
Right. So good.
Yeah. Big thank you to Cam Raptor Dive Terry for running us through that. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
And we hope you all out there are enjoying our new Test Kitchen Cambat section. I think it's been invaluable. I've always thought this is something we needed to do. And we always kind of treaded the line of when are we ever going to have time to do this? And the answer is never. So we just decided to make it happen, and we could not have done that without Cam, and they've just been
really
a hero
couldn't have,
and an addition to the network.
And I've always been a skeptic of play-by-post. I've never quite understood, like, I still don't get the whole, like, a whole campaign of it.
I hate it
the whole
so
campaign
much.
of it. Some people love it though, but I've actually really enjoyed. Maybe it's just because I really enjoy being a player and I never get to do it, and then especially in 2E, I have almost no experience as a player,
right.
And in the grand scheme of it. But it's like, to me, it's been really fun to just do the combats and a play-by-post kind of thing. I really am enjoying it, so I can't wait to do more.
I really
it's
just
hard
doing
to
the
get it all in, but
there's just a level of communication that isn't happening in the play-by-post, and I don't know how to change that yet. And I think when we get that fixed, it'll be better.
Still
and
a work in progress.
I have some ideas I'm working on for the next one to make it better.
Yeah.
And it's always gonna be getting better and better. But right now, as a player, it's just awful having to go back through 1,000 messages to try and figure out what's been done. It's just
I try to keep the message log really clean so that it's easier for you, but then a conversation gets struck up or this doesn't get deleted, and then next thing you know, it's dirty again. You're like, ah, damn it, I was trying so hard. I think I have a solution to that, but we'll talk about that a little bit off air. But thank you so much. Cam just prompted us for the next one.
Here we go.
Just a couple minutes ago. Perfect.
Excellent. So big thank you to Cam for doing this. Big thank you to you for being here, Freeman. Big thank you to the listeners and our Patreons, specifically Silas and Hobbs, I think, for the Barb and the Druid. If you want to be a Patreon, you can head over to patreon.com/Uncharted North. $10 a month. You can suggest a creature that we will eventually fight and do an episode just like this about, which is a pretty sweet deal, I think.
Yeah.
If you want some merch, we got some UN Compass. We got a little critty. You can find that at unchartednorth.com/shop. You can hit up Scott on all of the socials that have been scrolling down below. It's pretty much at Uncharted No everywhere. You can also find them in the description. If you want to see the show notes, follow any of these links, go on a First Dynasty deep dive of your own. You can find all that over at encounterthis.ca or home on the web. If you're an audio listener, you want to see the video of our Hirsute faces, you can find that at youtube.com/encounterpod. If you are an audio listener, please rate and review on your platform of choice. If you are a YouTube listener, hit the bell, hit the like, you know what to do. Every YouTuber has the same spiel, and I hate it, so I never want to do it.
But apparently you have to do it, yeah.
Well, there is science to show that reminding people to do things is helpful, so.
Sure. Yeah.
Helping that.
I just hope we never get down the road of like big clickbait titles, because I feel like I have a moral dilemma with those.
I don't have the pay. There's a sense of moral injustice that comes from a clickbait title for me. I really like our titles.
Our Guerrilla Tactics OP and Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Check out Maftet to find out.
So that's branding. I got no problem with that. But if the episode was 127 OP dual weapon tactics, any title that buries the lead, I'm not here for. I like the simplicity of Maftets. You know mostly what you're getting. You got to wade through the shit to get there. But you get there, I think. I hope. Anyway, thank you so much. Subscribe. Oh, head on over to our Discord. You can try and submit a creature for one of an upcoming battles. They are not locked to our patrons. They're completely free to anybody in the Discord who wants to build a character for us. If you build a character, we will play it no matter how hard the meme, because we feel we owe it to you. You're doing such a wonderful, kind thing for us. We will.
Cam is reviewing them, though.
Cam is reviewing them.
In case they're too meme.
Yes. No feats that synchronize.
We need to get useful information out of these characters in our test
they
fight.
should still be useful. You can go as hard on the meme as you want. I had a throwing barbarian, but it should still be effective.
Get thematic as all hell. Just make them useful.
Yeah.
At the same time.
So unchartednorth.com/Discord will just shove you right over there. If you've already got a Discord account, you can pop right in, hang out, say hi. We're always lurking, between Freeman, Scott,
Always.
Cam, Duncan, myself. We're all, someone is always around. And if not, we have an amazing, wonderful community over there that help us do things like the combat. So thank you again.
All right.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks with whatever happens next.
Thank you, friends. I'll leave you with one question to query. Do you think that the name of the Canadian pop rock country band, the Maftets, was inspired by Egyptian lore?
I hit the wrong button.
The answer
Outro.
is no, by the way.